Yes, BR Boxing. We are back and we are in reactive mood. Myself here and my esteemed co-colleague Danny. We're coming to bring you this video. It's a reaction video, as we say, to the news that is breaking. That Lawrence Okolie is set to fight Billam Smith in Bournemouth on May the 28th. We're here in the Vitality Stadium in Bournemouth is going to be the location. Danny, you are a specialist in many things boxing, but you're a specialist here as well because you've been to Bournemouth. You've seen CBS in Bournemouth several times now. Let me just come to you first, get your initial reaction on this fight, and then we'll take it from there. We'll unpick it a bit further.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Lovely week down in Bournemouth last summer. Me and Elliott, it was great. Yeah, fantastic fight. Obviously, it's been known that Billam Smith's going to fight at the Vitality on the 27th for a while now. But the question's just been who the opponent's going to be. I think the favourite maybe a couple of weeks ago was the WBA champion, Billam, which, whilst obviously a world title fight, a good fight, I don't think it's anywhere near the size of this fight. This is definitely the biggest fight out there in the cruiserweight division for Billam Smith. Probably one of the biggest available for Okolie as well. Maybe minus Reactor. I think you could probably argue that it's close, but fantastic fight, sort of out of the blue, and really, really looking forward to it. I'm sure we'll discuss, how it stylistically plays out, who's the favourite. But I mean, when you factor in these two are former stablemates and friends and stuff, I think this could end up being quite a big fight if it's done, done correctly with the promotion and stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to ask you actually about that because obviously Billam Smith is up in the rankings, isn't he? Like he's up in the rankings with Joe Pataya's IBF title. I think it was also, as you said, there was also negotiations going on with Guilherme, and he's up in the rankings for the WBA, and he's high up obviously as well in the WBO. Out of those three guys, so Okolie, Opataya, and Guilherme, do you think? Well, where do you rank this fight for Billam Smith? Is it the hardest of those three champions that you could go in for a title shot with, or do you see it differently?
You could definitely argue it just from a pure, like, Lawrence Okolie just looks so hard to beat. I know he got a lot of criticism for his last fight and a few of his fights, and rightfully so, but he's still winning those fights by a country mile in the scorecard. It's just such a difficult problem to solve. So you could definitely make a case that despite, gaping technical holes in his game, he's still the hardest fight. Like the likes of Opataya is probably a better pure boxer than him. But then you could look at the flip side and think if there's anyone to solve the Lawrence Okolie puzzle, it's Shane McGuigan. Who's worked with him for so long, so a lot of interesting variables, definitely.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And do you think, like you said, obviously a massive, like we haven't. This is like for cruiserweight division. Obviously, we've had some British fights in the past. We'd be thinking like when David Hay was campaigning down there, especially. But obviously, it's been a while since we've had these massive nights. But you look now and you think, well, Lawrence Okolie obviously left the zone and he left Matchroom to come over to Boxer, citing essentially wanting bigger fights. Obviously, there was a bit of a contract spillage and fallout over there. Do you feel like with Lawrence Okolie that this is almost what he needs? He almost needs an opponent like Billam Smith also that's going to bring a crowd behind him. Because Okolie, obviously, depending on what you think about him, like you say, he's a world champion, but does seem to struggle, I think, to cross over, even though he's very successful and very hard to beat, to sort of bring that audience. So for him, do you think this is possibly one of the best opponents he could face similarly down in the division as well?
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Billam Smith has become a bit of a hot ticket seller down in Bournemouth. At the same time, I think he would have needed an opponent with the sort of value of Okolie to fill out that Vitality Stadium. As you say, Lawrence Okolie, for all his success, isn't a big draw at the box office. We sort of saw why in Manchester the other week. So that could be a career defining night for both of them, definitely. Obviously, depending on how the fight goes, it could go the other way, as Lawrence Okolie fights always can. But we'll not dwell on that. We'll keep it positive. Yeah, no, big fight for both, big opportunity for both.
Well, we'll talk about now then, I suppose, how the fight's going to go. Like Cody's undefeated, 19-0 record, 14 KOs. Billam Smith, 12 KOs, 17-1 record. Obviously, the loss on that record being split decision loss to Reakpour back in 2019. Danny, as you see things at the moment, who's the favourite?
You'd have to make Lawrence Okolie, I think, a favourite, maybe slightly. Just because we've not seen him lose more than a handful of rounds in a fight, really. Whereas Billam Smith, close fight with Reactor, and Reactor, obviously a different fighter, but quite similar in terms of dimensions to Okolie. But Billam Smith has improved a lot since then. I think Okolie's improved as well since earlier in his career, but I think Billam Smith seems to have improved a bit more. He's rebuilt really well from that Reactor win, but Okolie, you would have to make a marginal favourite at this stage for me.
Is that so? I mean, obviously you're going with the bookies there, but do you see as well any possible chance? Is he your favourite as well? Do you reckon Okolie, just not necessarily asking for a sort of in-depth prediction, but in the way you're looking at it personally as well, do you see Okolie as possibly being the favourite for you as well as he would be for the boxing community at this time?
Maybe just about, just about. But then again, like Billam Smith is really, really good on the inside. So if he can negate Okolie's, I don't know what you would call it, work on the inside, and you would potentially favour him. But again, more time with Sugar Hill. I don't know. I would edge personally Okolie myself, probably still. But I'd like to see Billam Smith do it.
We're also going to react, obviously, I suppose this is a reaction video, obviously, to Billam Smith versus Okolie. But I suppose one of the interesting subplots of this is that it's due to take place on the same night as Lara is going to meet Wood. And Danny, you're obviously a man that travels around the country on behalf of ESPR, doing your preeminent work for us. You can't be in two places at once. Which of the fights do you recognise? It's a massive event, obviously. Box is a massive event for DAZN. Which of the two takes your preference at this stage? Just I'm gonna have to ask you that. If you had to start at the same time, which one do you reckon you'll be watching?
Oh God, that is really, really, really tough. Because me and Elliott were chatting last night. We done a video, and we were saying off camera about would Lara would be the bigger fight, because it was just knowing that it was just gonna be Billam Smith at this stage. We were thinking, it's Billam Smith, Goulamarian. We said the only way it could possibly be bigger if it was Okolie, and then fucking 12 hours later, I honestly don't know. I'll be in Manchester. Like, I live in Manchester, so I don't think I'm going to get much choice in the matter. I think from a financial perspective, from ESPR, sent 5 minutes away as opposed to fucking 500 miles. But I don't know. I'm genuinely going to sit on the fence there. I don't know which one, if I had full choice, I'd rather go to. Like, would Lara, fight of the year contender, arguably earlier? Lara's one of my favourite fighters. Then you could argue we've already seen it. Whereas this Okolie, Billam Smith, like two formal stablemates, it's came out of nowhere. Cruiserweight. Honestly, I couldn't pick, to be honest. It's a real shame they're on the same night.
No, I totally agree. I think that's one of the joys, I suppose, of at least having this own membership. We could stream it, watch it later, tune in straight afterwards. But this is, like you said, this would be a massive night for box. I think box have had some big nights previously, but I think when you come to talk about two guys that are actually in the peak of their careers fighting each other here, like you're saying, in what is actually a massive fight.
Yeah.
Like you say, there's underlying narratives. There's the stablemate aspects of it as well. Billam Smith obviously going for a world title. Okolie needing obviously the fans and the crowd as well to get him going. This will be a big night, huge night down in Bournemouth. Danny, I'd like to thank you for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we switch off, or would you just like to react again by going, "Oh, I can't believe it's happening."
One caveat I'd like to add, just so he's not left out. My countryman Michael Conlon also fighting May 27th, big fight over the Lopez. So it's actually mad. The schedule for that night is honestly crazy. 3 world title fights in the UK.
Absolutely outrageous. Well, Danny, before you go, then let's just have there's 3 fights there. You mentioned Conlon. Obviously, there's Wood versus Lara, and there's Okolie who've also given a prediction on. Give me the 3 winners that night, please, as a little unofficial treble, and then we'll sign off and say thank you for watching.
You fucking love sticking me on the spot, right. Conlon UD. I think Lara, we said in the last video, I think Lara will get to Wood, I think, again, and I'll go at edge Okolie decision, but not too confident in that one.
There we go. It's the unofficial Danny treble there. The Conlon UD, the Lara KO, the Okolie UD. Thank you guys for watching. We bring you the reaction video. We'll obviously bring you further stuff as this story continues to develop. Thank you very much for watching. Danny, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you guys for watching.